So 3 reasons. Well, let me say it this way. If you understand these 3 things, there's a very good chance that you won't mess up your case by trying to talk to the police. If you understand these 3 things, if you just understand them and just really etch them in your memory and really remember these 3 things, I think it'll help you in your time of need if you ever need it. So here's the first one. First thing that you have to understand, and when you understand this, you can protect your case if you ever have one. One is you're not going to talk your way out of an arrest. In other words, if the police are called to the scene, if they're investigating a crime and they believe that they have probable cause to believe that, a crime has occurred, you were a part of it, you played a part in it, you're not going to talk your way out of that. You are not going to talk your way out of it. And that's probably the biggest way that people really get themselves messed up, is this idea that, oh, I can just talk my way out of it. I can just explain everything. No, you're not. No, you're not. Part of the reason why people think this, though, quite frankly, is the police, they like to play this listening ear thing with people. And what they say is this: Mr. Jones, we'd like to help you. We really would like to help you. We really like to help you out. It seems like you're a nice guy. It seems like you're trying to do the right thing. And we understand that these things happen. This is what they'll say. We understand these things happen. But, and here's the clincher, we can't help you if you don't tell us your side of the story. So that's the caveat. We want to help you. We'd love to help you. We understand these things happen. You're a nice guy, whatever. We understand this is a trying situation, but in order for us to help you, in order for us to lift a finger for you, we have to hear your side of the story. Number one, that's not true. If they have enough facts to know that, oh, okay, this is just something that Mr. Jones really, he didn't start, or he really didn't do anything, they could choose to end their investigation there. Write the report up. Hey, we looked into it. We got called out. We determined that really there was no crime committed. We're going to let Mr. Jones go. And they could very well do that. Case closed. Case is done. So that's one. The other thing, though, is they really don't want to hear your side of the story. Let me say that again. They really don't want to hear your side of the story. Why do I say that? Well, here's the reason. They really want to get the remaining facts that will help them to convict you or to charge you. And what I mean by that is this. Whenever they're asking for permission and that type of thing, and they're begging you for your side of the story, it's normally because the way things presently sit at that moment, they really maybe don't have enough, or there's one element that they need to sort of shore up, and there's a couple facts that they really need to get clarification on, and they need that information from you. And so what they'll say is, well, we need to hear your side of the story. And what they'll do is, when you start to tell your side of the story, they will put pointed questions to you. Well, what about this? Because that's the thing that they really need to know. And so what they're really hoping is that, man, I hope that Mr. Jones talks to us, because once he talks to us, then, we can close the loop on this investigation and we'll have everything that we need. So as soon as they get that information that they need, they go from being nice and they go to all business. Okay, Mr. Jones, thank you for talking to us. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. It happens just that fast, and that's just the way it works. And so that's the first thing. The first thing is that you're not going to talk your way out of it. Please understand that. Etch that in your brain. Memorize that. You're not. The number 2 is this, though. Most of the time, you talking to the police will only make matters worse. And part of this is what I just covered. Because you're in a situation to perhaps they're investigating, they're looking into something. But once you provide the remaining details, there it is. They got enough to charge you. They got enough to, I should say arrest you, because prosecutor charges, but they got enough to go ahead and arrest you. You know, and so you can make matters worse. The other part of this is, you know, the other way that you can make matters worse is that, you know, police are not under any obligation to tell you what they're really investigating. And so what that means is they may tell you a snippet of what they're investigating, but they don't have to tell you everything. They don't have to tell you any details about their investigation, because their job, they're in the business of asking questions, not providing answers. And so they may tell you that, oh yeah, we're just investigating this level of crime, which may not be all that serious, by the way. But once you start talking and you get into it, they have enough to actually arrest you. You find out later on that all along, yeah, they may have been investigating that relatively minor crime, but they were also investigating something more serious. Here's the other part to that. They could also be investigating a series of crimes. In other words, they may be investigating something even beyond the incident that you think you're talking to them about. You know, they're talking to you about one burglary. Come to find out, they're trying to tie your name to a string of burglaries, and you didn't even know. And so you're talking about this one situation. Come to find out, they're trying to put you in the middle of other investigations. They're trying to close up other cases. And so that's part of the issue, and that's part of the difficulty, is that you really don't know enough to really say anything because they don't have to disclose to you. And so by talking, you can only make matters worse. The other thing is this: by not knowing everything, you can say something and you know, you may guess at something. You may guess that, okay, if I tell them this, it'll make my situation better. But what if they are investigating something totally different? Then you're on the line for something totally different, and the information that you thought would make your situation better actually makes your situation worse for the other crime that you didn't even know about. You didn't even know they were investigating that crime. I mean, how unfair is that? It's very unfair. But these are the problems that you have when you're talking to the police. But not only that, there's more. Number 3, and this is a big one. If you have something that will help you out in a particular investigation or potential case, you don't want to waste your story by telling it to the police. You want to tell your side of the story to someone that's committed to helping you. Meaning that if you want to tell your side of the story to anybody, you don't want to tell it to the side that's trying to investigate and lock you up. You want to tell it to the side that's been committed to helping you, and they're trying to make sure that you remain a free man or woman. Because, you know, one, you know, they're not going to take the information and twist it and turn it and exaggerate and change it and leave out important parts so that it, you know, you're on the line for some crime. But the other very important reason is this: if you tell it to your attorney, your criminal defense attorney, let's just say it's a situation to where, hey, you really are you're going to have to plead guilty to something, or you're very likely to be found guilty of something. If you tell your defense attorney, then that defense attorney can take the information that you told him or her and then turn it around and use it in plea negotiations. In other words, they can take that information and negotiate with it to say, hey, you know, my client is willing to consider this in exchange for pleading guilty to or confessing to whatever the case may be. But what they're able to do is, the attorney that is they're able to negotiate terms that are going to be favorable to you. Let's just say it's a situation to where, you know, if you just went to trial or you were found guilty in front of a jury or a judge, you're almost certain to get prison time. Well, if the information, depending on how valuable it is, depending on how strong or weak the state's case is, that same information can be taken, can be turned around so that the attorney can negotiate a plea that says, you know what, jail time, prison time is off the table. You know, my client will only agree to do this if prison time is off the table. That's a valuable concession. And so you really want to take that into account. Those three things are very important. All of them are important on their own. All together, they're super important. Number one, just to recap, you're not going to talk your way out of anything. Number two, you can only make matters worse. You can only make matters worse. And then number three, if you're going to tell your side of the story, if you're going to talk to anyone, talk to someone whose obligation, professional obligation it is to get the very best outcome for you, whether that be no charges filed, whether that be certain charges dismissed or reduced, or whether it be terms that are going to be favorable to you, meaning that, you know, you're not going to have to do any time. You're not going to have to go to prison. You're not going to have to be separated from your family. But those are all valid and strong reasons, I might add, to not talk to the police under any circumstance. And if you can remember that, and if you can recall that in your time of need, God forbid, hopefully you'll never need it. You never know. But if you need it, if you can just remember those reasons, and if you will allow those reasons to shut your mouth, you're going to be okay. Because you at least have a fighting chance if you haven't told on yourself, if you haven't confessed to something that you shouldn't have, if you haven't shared important details with the police that then are turned around and twisted and exaggerated and certain things left out so that they can be used against you. So keep those things in mind. And remember this too. If you have to be guilty of anything, be guilty of greatness. I hope that this has been helpful. If I can be of any further help, please call me, please email me, please text me, whatever the case may be. And I'd be more than happy to help you out in any way that I can. Take great care.